Hello and welcome to Crime Watch. I am your host, Joy Malik. Today we are discussing the critical issue of insecurity in Nigeria and the role of the media in the fight against it. Joining me is Chidi Omeje, publisher, Security Digest.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Major has extensive experience covering security issues in Nigeria and will share his insights on the current security situation and the media's role in addressing it. Mr. Major, thanks for being here. We'll be discussing topics such as the current security situation in Nigeria, the role of corruption in worsening insecurity, and the strategies the Nigerian military and other security agencies can employ to combat terrorism, banditry, and other forms of insecurity. We'll also explore how the media can collaborate with security agencies to provide accurate and timely information to the public without compromising national security or ongoing operations. Well, Mr. Almenje, as someone who has been following the security situation in Nigeria, I would like to get your expert's opinion on the current state of affairs. I mean, what is your assessment of the current situation in Nigeria, and what do you think is the most pressing threat to national security?
Okay, thank you for having me once again. Um, you know, everybody knows that all is not well with the country
Mm,
in terms of security. The country is assailed in all fronts by one form of security challenge or the other. You know, from the northeast side, you have the challenge of terrorism and insurgency. That has gone on for more than a decade now. And then, of course, of course, we all know that the Boko Haram, insurgents, at a point had to explore and then, got linked up with the global terror networks. That was when the ISWAP came in, and then right now, as we speak, you have Boko Haram, and then, of course, the ISWAP. Both of them, initially they were working in partnership, but right now they have serious rivalry. But they both still operate in the northeast. Then, of course, in the northwest, you have the issue of cross-border banditry. Where you have. Don't forget that northeast mostly. We have the border issue. We have the Sahel. There's a serious geopolitics in the Sahel region, and then that kind of made northwest of Nigeria very vulnerable to to the cross-border bandits who usually seep in from the Sahel region. When I say Sahel region, I'm talking about regions like Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, all those areas where you have serious political instability. So those issues are now, of course, now you see the banditry in northeast. You see, industrial scale kidnapping there. Then the same situation happens in the north central, where you have kidnapping, you have banditry also, happening. Then in the southeast of Nigeria, you have very violent secession agitators, those who say they want to have their own country, Biafra, and then that gave rise to what they call unknown gunmen phenomenon that actually came to the light after the arrest and the extradition of Nnamdi Kanu and his continuous detention. Then down to south region, you also have attacks on our maritime assets. Where you have oil thieves and stuff, stealing our resources. So these are serious issues in the south. Then, of course, in the southwest, you also have the issues of all kinds of violent, criminalities. So what I'm trying to say is that across Nigeria, across all the regions of Nigeria, we have one form of security challenge or the other. But the good thing is that the government is not sitting on its arse. There are, they've over the years been able to face up to these challenges. That is why you see the military, being the linchpin in linchpin in internal security operation, right? So ordinarily, the military was supposed to be more concerned about, defending Nigeria from external aggression, but constitutionally, they don't have a role to play in terms of aiding the civil authority to tackle internal security challenges. So there's a potpourri of insecurity across the country, and the country, the government, from the time that Boko Haram battled in the country, 2009 and thereabout, up to now, you've seen coordinated effort from the government. You see the military leading the task forces, to be able to confront these challenges. But even in spite of all those efforts, we are still with security challenges in the country, one form of it or the other across the country. For as we speak now, it's not yet Uhuru. We still have the challenges on our hands. So that's my initial thoughts about.
Okay, so how do you think the media can effectively contribute to the fight against insecurity in Nigeria, considering the country's complex security challenges? How can we, the media, fight towards this to bring a lasting solution?
Yeah, that's right. Of course, media, like every other subgroup, or whatever, in the country, have serious role to play. Media, don't forget, some of us who operate in the media space, you have a constitutional obligation, as an industry, to. I think we are about the only industry that has a role created by the Constitution. Constitution Section 22 of the Constitution gives the media the right to do certain things they are doing. So, the media have a crucial role to play in the fight against insecurity. First of all, media need to inform the public of what is happening. Media, through the instrumentality of the media, people get to know what is happening in terms of the security challenges. Media also need to sensitize people what the security issues are. Media need to create awareness, or rather, media is creating awareness about the security challenges across the country. Media also plays the role of partnering with or rather supporting the security agencies or government to be able to galvanize public support, because the fight against insecurity needs public support. You cannot, the military guys, for instance, if they are deployed to a particular place, they can't operate effectively if they don't have the buy-in and support of the people. So media has a role to play in galvanizing this public support through their reports. Media has to be patriotic enough to tell Nigerians what to do at a specific situation. So media has a crucial role to play. Media also play the role of countering the propaganda efforts of these bandits, or these terrorists and insurgents. It is through the media that we get to have a balanced perspective, balanced narrative from the noxious narrative that the bandits or the terrorists usually come up with. So the media is very, very critical in the fight against insecurity. You cannot really do the job. You cannot effectively fight insecurity without the active support of the media. If you work against the media, if, for instance, the government neglects the media or the military antagonizes the media, or maybe decide not to carry them along, of course you will see that's when they will realize the nexus between media support and success or otherwise of military operations. So media is critical in the overall fight against insecurity.
Well, in your opinion, what role has corruption played in worsening insecurity in Nigeria, and how can it be addressed to improve security outcomes?
Very important question. Look, corruption is is at the heart of the whole problem, because it is corruption that makes it possible for government officials to steal money, to steal resources meant for the people. It is corruption that predisposes the people, or rather makes people to be at the receiving end. It is corruption that creates the situation where people are deprived, people are people are in need, people are hungry, poverty is everywhere because corrupt people will always divert the resources meant for the people. So corruption is at the heart of our problem, and if we don't, in fact, the other day it was the Chief of Defense Staff, General Chris Musa, who told the members of the National Assembly that, look, that the military, for instance, does not possess the magic wand to deal with security challenges. That the magic wand actually lies with good governance, and that's so. If you have good governance means absence of corruption. So corruption is just the thing that had brought us to our knees. It is corruption that makes it possible for soldiers not to have the actual weapons they need, because some certain people may have carted the money away. It's corruption that makes people to when a community, for instance, are deprived of all the amenities they're supposed to have. No hospital, no transportation, no education, no everything is zero because some corrupt elements have diverted the funds. So people in that situation will naturally be left to their own devices. And when such situation happens, you see poverty, you see hunger, you see destitution, you see frustration, and all these things will predispose the mind. It will not make crime attractive to someone. So ordinarily, people who are supposed to that are supposed to be patriotic and then do their jobs and eke out the living are no longer able to do that because some corrupt elements have diverted the funds. So corruption is is at the heart of the challenges we have. We must deal with corruption, otherwise there's no way you can surmount the security challenges if you still have corruption, as pervasive as they are currently.
Well, you said something about the military, and now I need you to tell me what strategies do you think the Nigerian military and other security agencies should employ to combat terrorism, banditry, and other forms of insecurity in the country?
Well, I think the first strategy should be, collaboration, synergy between and among military, security, intelligence, and response agencies. You know what I mean? What I mean is the military, the police, the DSS, the civil defense, the response agencies like NEMA, road safety, fire service, they ought to work in harmony, in synergy, because no single agency or government can confront the kind of security challenge we have. So when they work, when they work in collaboration, in partnership, it makes the job easier. Secondly, there has to be need for us to deploy or to make use of technologies in our efforts. We should be able to assist our military guys with things, so with combat enablers like drones, cameras, precision technologies that will help them in their work. There's also need for us to, for the government to increase funding. Make sure that the military and the security agencies have enough to work with. They should be able to have the appropriate weapons they need, the equipments and the platforms they need to confront the challenges. So there is also the need for governments to, create, how to put it, make the condition possible for what we call all of state, all of nation approach to work. How would all of society approach, all of nation approach? How does it work? It works only when it works better when everybody speak in one voice, when there is a commonality of purpose. So this is where these areas, these are things that would usually help the military to function optimally. So these are the things that we need to do to make sure that our military are working better.
Now let's go back to the media. Can you explain how the media can collaborate with security agencies to provide accurate and timely information to the public without compromising national security or any ongoing operation?
Yeah, if we are to achieve, we have to have a stable, secured society. The military, or the security and the media, ought to work in harmony. You see, we have to deliberately build that bridge of understanding between the military and the media. Then we have to deliberately also collapse. Do you understand what I'm saying? Collapse the bridge of, we have to build a bridge of understanding, and then we collapse that bridge that make it possible for them to have mutual suspicion. The military must cooperate with the media, and the media must assist. The military, and of course, let me say the security sector in their efforts, because the role of to achieve peace or to have a secured country is not just the job of the security agencies alone. They need the active support of the media, because that's what we call war of narrative. War of narrative means that even the war we are fighting now, the battle against security, it's not only fought in the field. They also fought, in narratives. So media should be able to help to combat that narrative war, to be able to counter the narratives being pushed by the adversary. What do I mean? It is the role of the media to make sure that that they cancel out all those lies, all those narratives that let's say the insurgents, for instance, put through to the society. So the messaging of the insurgents or the terrorists have to be counterbalanced by the media. So media is very critical, and media should, rather, military should be able to curate the friendship of the media, and media should not see the support to the military as no, their support should not be as if they are doing anybody any favor. Media is also contributing to national security, because media is part of the national milieu. So media does not operate. Media can't operate in an atmosphere of insecurity. For instance, if there is insecurity, now you've been sitting down here, comfortably in your office, you'll be running. If you're in Gaza, for instance, have you seen Gaza of late? Yeah. Gaza is flattened out. So no media can work there. Nobody can work there. So that's why I say, at this atmosphere of security, peace and security gives everybody the latitude to work, including the media. So if the media think that they can stay back, or rather they can be arrogant about it, or rather see their support to the military as a gift to the military, that's a mistake. And at the same time, the military guys must also see media rule as not adversary. Media have their own unique way of doing things. They like to say everything they see, right? So, but military, for instance, don't see it that way. They see security issues as something that you need to be circumspect about. But the media, being who we are, we like to say it as it is. We want to inform our audience. But if you are going to inform our audience, you have to make sure that the information we are releasing will not jeopardize the efforts of the military guys who are on the harm's way trying to defend us. So there has to be balance from each side.
Okay, now in your own view, what do you think are the root causes of insecurity in Nigeria, and how can it be addressed?
Yeah, I think in the recent past there was a study, what we call root cause analysis, that some group carried out to find out what are those drivers of insecurity, what are the root causes of insecurity, and the chief among them, the first thing that comes to mind, the recurring factor, is bad governance. Bad governance by way of corruption and ineptitude, right? First, then of course we have the issue of unmanned borders. We have so much, but for instance, between the Nigeria-Niger border is almost about 10,000 kilometers. And in that 10,000 kilometers, that's long stretch, you have thousands of accessible routes that bad people can come in through, they are into our country, and then from our country to out. So that's why we now have like the Lekaroas and all those things, because there's unmanned borders. Then there's what we call unmanned spaces, even within the country. You have so many forests and all that. You have the Sambisa forest, you have the ones in Zamfara that stretches from Zamfara up to Niger State, right? These are uncovered spaces. Nobody is able to take a hold of the police. People cannot police it. The military cannot cover it. So that's where you have bandits inside those forests. So that's talking about uncovered spaces. So I've talked about corruption. I've talked about unmanned borders, that talked about unmanned spaces. Then what about the issue of, you know, human trafficking, issue of drugs coming in, issue of youth unemployment. There's so many things that predispose the country to this security problem we have. So the root cause analysis I referred to that the group carried out, they outlined almost about 17, points, the issues that predispose our country to insecurity. So I'm sure the government is aware of this root cause.
Of course.
So they should be able to take them one after the other. For instance, the key thing, like I mentioned, is corruption. So how would we, improve in our governance paradigm? How do we make sure that that good governance trumps corruption and ineptitude? So because it is good governance that if you place good governance, so many other things will fall into place. Good governance will ensure that resources will be deployed where it is needed. Good governance will make sure that people are catered for, that the social facilities like infrastructures are in place, roads, hospitals, this and that, everything is in place, because nobody is out there to steal the money. So good governance is key. Then you should be able to also devise a way to to take care of your borders. No self-respecting country allows its borders to to the devices of all of criminals. Now, as we speak today, the borders, the land borders between Nigeria and Niger Republic are completely unmanned. So you can see that the